Thank you for tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, subscribe, or share. Want to be a guest? Email podcast@tricountyareachamber.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chamber Chat Live. Happy Monday to everyone watching us and joining us today. Up on the screen, as we have done at the beginning of every show, a huge thank you and recognition that is greatly deserved to our mission and vision partners, our MVPs, helping us make it through January to June of 2021 with their support, continuing to push out programs and services that meet the mission and the vision of this organization, as well as provide the products and services that our businesses need to succeed. So again, just a special thank you to our mission and vision partners, our MVPs. For my president's message today, I want to take a moment and thank the entire membership. The MVPs are obviously doing a little bit more for us, but just businesses being a member of this organization shows their support. And one of the things that we do is encourage our businesses to advertise their support of this organization. There was a study a couple of years ago that really showed that consumers, if they knew a business was part of a member organization like a Chamber of Commerce, they were more likely to come back and support that business again. They were more likely to refer that business. So we provide membership plaques and window decals for all of our chamber members, and we encourage them to put them on display so that any business or any individual or consumer coming into your business knows that you are a member and support an organization like ours. So again, we've spent a lot of time at the beginning of the show recognizing these MVPs, but I do want to just put out there a thank you to every member of this organization, because without the support of all of the members, all 450 of them, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do. So if you are a member and you are listening, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. I also just wanted to take a moment and recognize another way for people to use their membership, and that is to be the bridge. We have an article that we use that talks about telling your story as well. Being a member provides you access to information. We put out a bi-weekly email called Live, Work, Shop, Tri-County. It talks about things like upcoming community events, job postings. We post the press releases that chamber member organizations have shared with us, telling their news. So if you have access to that email, you can take a look at that information, and you can kind of be the all-knowing person that your contacts come to when they want to find out more information about things. And you can actually text to 22828 LWS Tri-County, and we will add you to the email list so that you can always be aware of that information. And that is an opportunity that's open to non-members. So that's my from the President's Desk report for today. And I am very excited to bring in a new friend. We have a female business. As you know, we've been focusing on female business owners during this Women's History Month. And it's my pleasure to introduce Jessica Zeigler-Cihlar from Village Architecture and Preservation. And I was all prepared, Jessica, and then I go and stumble over it anyway. I was trying to make Cihlar into Ziegler and just...
A good solid German combination gets people every time.
So I'm so excited to have you, Jessica. I know we've been talking about you coming on as a guest for quite some time. And, you know, I have gotten to know you over the last couple of months through our REACH programming, but you're fairly new to our organization. A couple of years ago, when we actually merged and took on members of another membership organization, the Building and Industries Exchange that existed here in Pottstown. So I'm so glad that we were able to have you come over and be a member of the chamber and stay a member of the chamber since that merger. So it's been exciting to have you and have your perspective, on what your role or what your participation was there, and what we look like within our organization. So it's been exciting. So I'm glad you're able to join us today. So we will start off with the basics. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, the nutshell version is, first of all, I want to thank you for having me here. As you said, we've been talking about this for a while, and I appreciate the opportunity to chat with friendly faces and, strong and competent women besides. It's really neat to be able to celebrate, Women's History Month in this way. So thank you. And also my thoughts are going out to everybody in the borough dealing with the power and water issues. I'm sorry, that just is a lingering issue. I know it's been a tough week.
Yes, it has been, for sure. It has been interesting.
Yeah. So, my name is Jessica Zeigler-Cihlar. I am a registered architect and the founder and sole proprietor of Village Architecture and Preservation. I provide design and documentation services for all sorts of residential additions, renovations, new construction, commercial fit outs, commercial, church and school ADA upgrades and code compliance upgrades, and also condition assessment reports and repair recommendations for historic properties. I am located in Berks County currently, and as of November of this year, I'll be celebrating my 10-year anniversary in business.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic. So, here we are in Women's History Month. You are in, I would say, probably hasn't changed that much, predominantly male-oriented industry. So what kind of motivated you to go the path of architecture?
Well, that's a longer story. I decided probably by the time I was 14 that I wanted to be an architect. I was always an artistic kid. I took art classes at Anvil Studios locally. When I was a kid. I was very much into artwork and creative projects. And my father, who Tom Zeigler, is a structural engineer. So I was very fortunate at an early age to have some really special mentors and role models that were very interested in my success, one of whom was my father. And as soon as I was old enough to work, I started working in his office. He gave me jobs in administrative work. I was doing some graphic design for him. I was doing drawings. He showed me how to use CAD. I started doing CAD drawings. He took me out in the field. I helped him with some field surveys. And so that was very, very exciting for me that I could kind of combine my creative side with something more tangible and realistic, something that was real, that could happen. And so I learned a lot from him. I'm just, so thankful that we have a great working relationship. Even to this day, we work together almost on a daily basis, which is very exciting. I also had a church friend, Dick Franz, who you also know. He's an architect in town, who kind of took me under his wing and was very kind in taking me to some project meetings. He taught me some of this very simple tasks of architecture that you don't think about, like how to roll up drawings, how to write upside down. Did you know to be an architect, you should really know how to write upside down? So he taught me some of those things, which, was really nice. And I just kind of really fell in love with the profession. So fast forward, I went to Penn State Architecture School as a 5-year program. There I met my future husband, a fellow architect, Mike. Okay. And that was fun. And I took some classes in early Pennsylvania architecture and history. I spent a semester in Rome and was fortunate enough to get an internship during the summers and over Christmas break, thanks to the pastors at my church at the time. That really helped me grow and learn a lot. And I worked my tail off in college, I really did. Architecture school was not easy by any means. And as you said, was, and still is, I would say, a male-dominated profession. Before I went to school, I didn't know any female architects. We didn't have the internet at that time. When I was a kid, I couldn't look it up. There was no Google.
Right.
So I was lucky that I had even male role models that still did not hold me back or think less of me because of my gender. So worked through college, got my dream job after school. I worked in exclusively historic preservation for 11 years in Westchester. And then recession hit. That was hard on everybody, and especially, the design field. People were just kind of not doing any building projects at all. But due to my personal circumstances at the time, I decided that that was the time that I was going to start a business. And so I did. And at that time, we were living in Lionville in the Exton area. And we were in the historic village of Lionville. Our house was in a National Register district. And so that's where the name Village Architecture and Preservation came from. Now I'm in a different village, Carnarvon Township. So kind of the same feel for my office. But yeah, so it's been a great run. So I've been really lucky to have some really great projects. Although I worked exclusively in preservation at my previous job, currently I work in all sorts of buildings, and I love the challenge of working in existing buildings and documenting what's there and designing what they can become and working with clients to figure out what they need. And so work is just great. Love it.
What preservation's a very specific area. So what directed you, or what was the passion behind getting into preservation, especially spending 11 years doing it as a specific profession? That's, a big commitment. So what just pulled you to that piece?
Well, it's funny. My mom tells a story of how we went to the Scottish parade in Alexandria, Virginia when I was a kid. And we walked the streets in historic Alexandria, saw the cobblestone roads and, all of the beautiful historic fabric there in town. And that really, I guess, is what got me hooked on preservation. I've just always kind of had an affinity for, places with character and uniqueness. So I think that probably is what did it.
Well, and I think it's really cool because there's so many, I think, right here in downtown Pottstown, the historic architecture and, Chester County with its history, and Berks. I think in this entire area, there is a lot of that, and there are a lot of buildings that, and even just locations, that people have chosen to restore. So it may not be a business or, but historic places that, people have put the time and energy and the volunteer hours into just keeping those things as solid structures, to support the community and just the story of the region.
That's very true. And, a property does not need to be listed on the National Register to be significant to a community or to a person or to a region. So yeah, I really appreciate, and you're right about downtown Pottstown. There are so many wonderful historic properties downtown, and I've been privileged to be able to work in some of them. But yeah, it's a really special thing, and it's a labor of love.
Right.
To take on restoration or rehabilitation, adaptive reuse of a historic property. My husband and I know that firsthand. Our first house in Lionville was a 200-year-old house. It was beautiful. It was built by a cabinet maker originally. So, there are neat built-in cabinets and lots of neat moldings around the windows, but it needed help. I mean,
right.
There were issues. The stairs were falling off the wall at one point. We had to stabilize them. And now we're in a house. It was a one-room schoolhouse originally.
Okay.
It was converted into a residence in the 50s. And, it's been taken care of, but it needs help too. And we have been doing some, pretty major renovation projects here just to keep it stable and weather tight. And it takes work and energy and love.
I don't claim to know, as much about what you're talking about, obviously, but I do watch HGTV. So I have my own share of information.
Never easy as they say it is.
I was going to say, they make everything look so easy. They really do. And I'm sure it is not that easy. So you mentioned doing some work in some buildings in Pottstown. Let's talk a little bit about the work. So what should someone who's going to reach out to an architect, what should they know about reaching out to you, your services? When should they come to someone like you?
Sure. It really helps to talk to an architect very early in the process. Some people like to get a contractor on board first. That's fine. I always advise you talk to your township about what you're trying to do. Most municipalities in Pennsylvania follow the International Building Code, but each township has its own special code requirements, particularly related to zoning, building use, parking, building setbacks, all of those things. It's a lot of technical issues that a lot of property owners don't understand. And so, it's always good to talk to your township early, but then, get a hold of some architects and see what their experience is with your particular type of project. I have thankfully been able to work in all kinds of residential projects, but also I've done, salons, spas, restaurants, chiropractors' offices, counselors' offices, hazardous materials storage facilities. I mean, you name the type of project, I've probably worked on it. So that's been new for me. But what you want from your architect is that they will guide you through the process and they will get on board with you very, very early on. So the first thing that I do with a client is we have a phone conversation about, what they're trying to accomplish. And then we schedule a walkthrough of the property. I don't like to write a proposal for a project unless I've seen the property firsthand, because it's surprising how often, it's not surprising to me now, but you'd be surprised how often there are aspects of the project that don't come out in a phone conversation. And it's not because I'm trying to expand your project, it's that in the course of more detailed conversation and looking at particular features of a property, the property owner might say, oh yeah, I have been thinking that, I should probably do this at some point. Can we incorporate that or can we plan for that in the future? And so I really want to understand the property owner's needs, short-term and also long-term. I always tell my clients, I don't like to be the architect who designs Band-Aid fixes. I like to help people plan for long-term use of their property, even if, it's a phased project. And maybe, the next phase isn't done until 10 years down the road. I don't want our project completed now to be one that becomes obsolete and useless. I don't ever want my work to be looked at as, why on earth did we do that? That doesn't make any sense. So I try to understand from the front end, what my clients are trying to accomplish, how I can help them for both short-term use and long-term use, and then just walk them through the design phase, the steps that it takes to get from existing conditions plans to permit approval. And it is a process. Certainly I've had clients who, want a project done just like that. They're like, I don't care about design. I don't want it pretty. I just want the seal. That's fine. I can do that too. But most property owners have been thinking about their project for a while and they're emotionally invested, and I want it to be a good experience for them.
No, and I think all of that makes sense. I think when you go for a project, it's like anything that you're trying to achieve and creating those goals. So I would think it's a lot easier for you to not have your level or your piece of the project at that point in time impact or, like you said, nullify what somebody's going to do a couple of years later. What's the point of making that investment? So, I can see where your knowledge and your expertise of, okay, well, this is what your big picture, the whole vision looks like, and someone like you and your profession can, break it out so that it all makes sense and will flow together with somebody's ultimate, intentions. So makes sense.
That's right. Master planning is typically looked at as more of a commercial type of.
Right, sure.
But, there's no reason why you can't put, even a very basic master plan together for your house. Maybe you want to add a sunroom now. Maybe you want to, add a second floor some other time. Maybe you want to, expand your back deck. There's, of course,
Right.
the options are limitless, but you don't have to do every part of your project at the same time. And people have budgets.
For sure.
I have budgets. We all have budgets.
Agreed.
Right? So unless we all win the lottery, there's no guarantee that we can all complete every project we want for our house or our, business at one time. So,
Right.
I'm happy to work with all of my clients on laying out, their goals for tomorrow and next year and 5 years from now and 10 years from now.
Well, thank you for answering my questions. I'm going to turn it over to Danielle, who's going to ask you a couple more before we close out today's show. Danielle?
Thank you again, Jessica, for joining us today. You have a great story. I'd love to hear, going back to when you decided to start your own business, what was it like, leaving your previous job and getting yourself established? Was that challenging? Did the connections you already have from your job make it a little bit easier to sort of get established? What was that like for you?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah, it was hard. And I mentioned my personal circumstances. Well, one of my personal circumstances was that I was 5 months pregnant when they closed my old office. So here I was looking at starting my own business, and I was going to be on maternity leave very shortly. I didn't have an office in our house. I started out working off the kitchen table with all of the baby food oatmeal, crusted on the table and trying to avoid juice spills on my drawings. I moved to a computer desk in the laundry room at some point. That was a big deal. And then I actually got a real desk in the corner of the living room. That was huge. Felt like a real professional at that point. So yeah, it was hard. I mean, I had kids coming down in the middle of the night. I was working every hour I could possibly stay awake because I was taking care of kids at home and starting this business at the same time. So it was really, really hard. But, I have kept in touch with numerous colleagues of mine from my old job. And I can't say that necessarily I got work that way, but it's been a great ongoing professional relationship. And actually, I'm submitting a proposal with one of them shortly. I'm very excited to work with one of them.
Awesome.
On a project coming up, hopefully. But, I was also fortunate that, I mentioned my mentors and role models, my dad and Dick Franz were able to give me some basic drafting projects just to help pay the bills for a while. I joined BIE, the Building Industries Exchange, met some people that way. And, it was just a matter of meeting people, meeting contractors, meeting, property owners, making connections. And, I'm not, as I told you, I'm not an outgoing person. So that was hard for me.
Yeah.
Definitely. It was tough. I had to step way out of my comfort zone. But, over time, you build up those connections and make meaningful relationships. And, I've been lucky to get projects from personal referrals and repeat clients. And it's been really great.
Awesome. And I like that you touched on the importance to you of networking and that relationship building part of it, because that's something we always really want to focus on here at the Chamber is connecting people, connecting businesses, and going beyond that initial connection so that relationships are forming so that, different members can help each other's businesses grow. So it's great to hear you say how important that was for you. We really want to, always send that message out to our members, how important it is to build relationships with others. So thank you for sharing that.
What's right there?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
It's right there.
Yeah. If you could share one thing, what's you enjoy the most, what's most rewarding for you out of this work?
It goes back again to relationships, I think. I am personally invested in all of my projects. In fact, my husband and I joke, we care about your project more than you do. I will
Right.
spend days and nights thinking about a design solution for your project because I want it to be great. I care a lot about your project. I care about you as a human, and I feel like I'm relatable in that way. It's not that I'm a particularly unique person, but, I'm a business owner. I'm a homeowner. I have a family. I have pets. I have bills. I am a person too. And I feel like I can relate to my clients on those really basic terms that we are all people and we all have needs and we all have issues. And I want to help my clients to come up with a project that works for them over the long term. If they're not happy and they're not having fun in the project, I'm not either. So I try to keep it positive. I try to keep communicating as much as I can. And I really treat my clients like they are a member of the team. I mean, I feel like it's critical. It's their project. It's not my project. I'm just providing the professional service. It's their project. I want them involved, and I want their feedback, and we work together to make it a really successful project.
So we're coming up here towards the end of the show. So before we wrap up, could you share where everyone can find you, what social media platforms you're on?
Sure. My website is www.village-architecture.com. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. I am not super active on social media. I need to be better about that. But I do have information on all those platforms. And along with my 10th anniversary, I will be working on updating that website, redesigning my logo, rebranding. So look now, because before you know it, it could be changing.
Awesome.
All right. So as Danielle mentioned, I want to take a moment to just thank you again, Jessica. We're coming up on 1:30, so we will, conclude another session of Chamber Chat Live. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so
It was
much.
painless.
You made it wonderful and so nice to chat with.
Well, and it is. It really is, literally just as the name states. It really is just a chat. We're happy to promote you as a chamber member and tell your story and have people, again, find you on your website or on social media. Again, I think sometimes people think of architects at more of a professional level, but they are at the personal level as well. As a residential homeowner, and the services that you provide. So we hope our listeners today not only think of you if they have commercial needs, but also personal needs. So just want to thank you again for joining us today. I want to thank everybody who's watching today, and we look forward to having you join us for our next show on Wednesday at 1:00. And a special thank you again to the Mission and Vision Partners for the Chamber. And again, we look forward to another episode on Wednesday, and that's all for now. We will see you then.
Thank you for tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, subscribe, or share. Want to be a guest? Email podcast@tricountyareachamber.com.